This is Vegas Views. I'm with my co-host.
I'm Jason Velez.
So welcome everyone. Before we get started, I do have a special guest, Nino Galloway, and I'm so excited. I've known him, I think, roughly about 4 years. It's when I was volunteering for the schools, and he helped us with a fall festival event. And then I found out how amazing this guy is. He is a noisemaker, community connector. He has a few nonprofits. He's just all-around family guy and amazing. Really talented, really insightful. And I don't know if he knows this, but I look up to him as a mentor. So he's amazing.
Yeah. He's also what I call a hero, one of the heroes. He's a firefighter, and I absolutely wanted to meet him and interview him when I saw that.
So also, before we do get started, is there anything you want to shout out what you just got done?
Yeah, so I own the Vegas Empire Stunts, and we just competed in a 49-hour film festival, and it was my first one, so learning as you go along, but getting stuff done, and we got it in there, and we hope to win, and then we'll be seen on a premiere that they're going to do on the 18th.
Congratulations, Jason.
Thank you.
All right. Now I want to welcome a guest of honor here. It's Nino Galloway. I'm sorry, I have to because you're so amazing. You are so amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
So do you want to share a little bit with the audience on who you are, what you're about, and everything you have been doing? I know you just recently retired after being at the North Las Vegas Fire Department for 29 years.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, first off, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to meet you. Through COVID, we've all had to learn a new process on how to connect with people digitally. And so we want to take advantage of that. As they brought up, I am a 29-year, recently retired firefighter. I've lived in Vegas now for 30 years. I moved here for the job. And through the course of the years, I've had a daughter who's older, and she's now living in North Carolina. And then my wife, Tina, and my son, Nino.
Beautiful.
I call him Little Man. They are part of this journey with us. And my whole goal is to disrupt status quo and find out what our capacity is as a human being, starting with myself. And I've been fortunate enough to make enough mistakes and still be passionate about it. And I'm a product of my choices more than my circumstances. And so as a career firefighter, it allowed me to test those thoughts and limits, and here I am on the other side, still standing with minimal muscular injuries, but outside of that, I'm still standing up, healthy, and now it's on to the next chapter, which is really embracing social business, which is company entrepreneur spirit, but always tying an outreach and community, which to me is both two anchors that I have and passions that I have.
Thanks.
Do you have any projects upcoming that you need us to support or share?
There always is projects that are happening in our world, but there's a principle that we have to do as a community. I do think that the secret to living is giving, and in order to do that, find out what you're passionate about. We met you were doing a PTA project, but what she won't tell you is that she helped me with a Halloween project because I'm not really into Halloween. Her and her family help us win a contest by recreating an ambulance, and we did a Halloween event, and with your family and our fire explorers, we were able to win.
That was really amazing event.
Yeah, so the point of telling you that is our first job is to go make connections. One of the challenges in our community of Las Vegas is we're very transient, very much on the go because of our tourism foundation. But the reason I say that is go make some connections. Go find a charity in your world that you're passionate about. Some people, it might be through their church. Others, they might be passionate about homelessness or animals. For us, we've wrapped a lot of our work around our youth. Some of our programs coming up, we have a firefighter toy drive called Fill the Fire Truck. We've been doing that for 18 or 19 years, made lots of mistakes, but at the end of the day, the principle of making kids smile, we've achieved each and every year. Number two, find ways to support other programs that are helping youth, which is what we do. And then now we're working on building out projects that actually not just inspire kids, but get them connected to programs and resources in Southern Nevada that are already able to help them, that are already doing the work. So
That's
that
huge.
you don't just inspire them, you got to get them to these programs so they can actually make and affect change.
So do you know what some of the programs are so I can
Sure.
share?
Sure. So first off, our charity is called Give Tribe. Give Tribe is a filler. Basically, in my world of nonprofit, we were able to come across holes in kinks in the armor. Like, hey, we're missing this, or this charity can't help with this, and this program's that way. So what Give Tribe did, through the help of my family, my wife particularly, is I'd always come home and complain to her, man, I wish we had this in place. And then it became, hey, let's just start it ourselves.
That's
right?
amazing. And you need
Right.
that good, strong, beautiful partner. And I got to
100%.
meet her. She's really wonderful and
Yeah.
loving and inspiring and supportive.
And patient with me.
See, I didn't have to worry about the patient part. But
And
yeah.
patient. So we created Give Tribe, and Give Tribe does a few events. Most notably is an event called Breakout. And what we're doing is bringing in some speakers. One will be checking in our next event through. He's in Florida, but he was born with no legs and one arm. But what he's done with his life to live his life based on his own terms has been phenomenal. He drives his own car, he snowboards, he swam with sharks. Just amazing. This last weekend, he spoke on Tony Robbins' stage. He's phenomenal, and he's 26.
That's really
Right.
inspiring.
100%. And so what we've done is then taken that inspiration and we aligned with great Southern Nevada charities. So Project 150, Nevada Partnership for Homeless Youth, Junior Achievement, Junior League, all these different charities, and invited them to have their kids get inspired, but then also cross-connect, because youth need to know, hey, is college my next step? It could be. Maybe it's the military. Maybe it's workforce, and then provide them with those outlets immediately that they can, once they're inspired, take action right away. Because that's generally what's missing, not just in our youth, but in all of us. People are like, hey, I want to do this and I'm inspired to do this. It's like like you guys with acting. If I said I want to act, I wouldn't know what to do. So I would reach out
But I
to
would
those
give you all
people.
the resources,
Right.
and I would give you at least the foundation, so you're not going in the wrong direction or being taken advantage of, because there's
100%.
a lot that happens in that industry.
100%. Well, that's the same for all types of work, career, educational. Like if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, there's work you have to do, and you have to start doing it now to be prepared for a career in 10 years. And so once we started aligning with those type of organizations, I just named a few. There's plenty out there that are doing awesome. It's also forcing us to always be in the business of telling stories, because stories is how you build a style of life, not a lifestyle. Most of us are just looking to get a job to create money, but that's not a passion, right? You do stunts. Listen, I can fall with the best of them, but I can't do it with style. I'd have to practice at doing that. Does that make sense?
Makes sense, yes.
So that's what we're looking to instill in everything we do, is not just teach them how to do it, but why they want to do it, so that they can add some pizzazz and live their life with anybody we come in contact with. Promote living a life based on choices you make.
You
Rather
understand.
than the
That's why I look up
circumstances.
to you so much. I follow you, and it's so huge. It's bigger than any of us put together. What you're doing, especially for the younger generation, and having people be part of it. It's something that I always hope to inspire, to contribute to in some way, or connect to. I mean, it's so big what you're doing, and I'm so glad that you are sharing it with the viewers, and hopefully I can share the heck out of it, and they'll share it too. Because it's not just for them, it's for anybody.
100%.
Anybody that wants to be part of something that is growth.
And if I could add to that, I'm an imperfect human who's made a lot of mistakes and will make more mistakes. But every day we get to wake up and still do something. I heard today, if you check in with yourself each and every day, have I lived, have I loved, and have I done things that matter? You'll live a fulfilled life, and that matters. And that's what we're trying to do, because Lord knows I've pissed off enough people. I've made some stupid mistakes. That's not going to change, because sometimes if I'm passionate, I can be construed as being overbearing. There's plenty of firefighters in the 29 years that I've probably offended at a kitchen table, right? But I also leverage that as a way to create an experience or moment to learn, broaden perspective, and maybe pivot my opinion. And that's what we owe ourselves, let alone to share with others.
I know you introduced me a while ago, and I did check out the Monday's Dark. Are you part of the board? Can you share a little bit about that? Because that was really phenomenal.
Yeah.
I forget exactly what I went, but they do donate a portion each month to a nonprofit. Can you share that?
Monday's Dark's probably, I'm just going to be prejudiced because I do sit on the board. It's probably one of the most amazing Southern Nevada charities out there. And its template is it's a bridging charity. And that's not how they call themselves. It's an organization that twice a month, the first and third Mondays of the month, Las Vegas performers put on a variety show, and they partner with a charity in Southern Nevada. And the first and third week, when they do that, the charity earns $10,000. He's been doing it for 8.5, 9 years. It's the ninth year ago.
Did you know about this, viewers?
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's connecting, getting the information out there.
100%. The Firefighters Burn Foundation that I was part of the growth, we are bridging. We collect toys, we sort them, and then we give them to charities who give them to kids. Give Tribe puts on programs to support other programs that help youth. Monday's Dark is the same type of bridging organization. And over the course of the last 9 years, both Burn Foundation and Give Tribe have played a role in, have been able to be partners of Monday's Dark. Mark Chinook, who's the creator of that, with his wife, and he's got a core team, his music director, and his band that flow and put on incredible shows. Our first one in 2016 for the Burn Foundation was a tribute to the Sounds of San Francisco, and he had the lead singer of Jefferson Starship sing her own song, and we raised $10,000. And so they've supported.
I love stuff like this.
Yeah, so they've supported 161 organizations, and this year there was over 200 charities to choose from that had applied. Of that, we had to pick 21. So there's a big demand for it. Next event, their gala events on December 9th at, we're going back to the Palms. Everyone should pay the money to go get a ticket. I want to say it's $20.
That's nothing.
It's nothing.
I thought when you say like I said gala, we say gala. Yeah, tomato.
Yeah.
Talking about like $2,500, like $2,500. I was like, $20.
$20. I don't know if they have VIP tables left, but their VIP tables are $400.
That's still nothing compared to what people are.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also giving back. And what can you just share again? Everything you said before I interrupted everything, because I was all excited about it.
No worries. So throughout 2023, at the gala, they will announce all the charities in 2022 that they helped, as well as the picks and the schedule for 2023. So get a ticket, come see us. It's Monday, December 9th at Inside Pearl, which is going to be phenomenal. And then you'll learn more about us. Mark's a little edgy, which is part of the reason I like him. He reminds me of sitting at the kitchen table. General adult content. Don't bring your kids if you are easily offended.
Don't bring yourself if you're easily offended. That means
100%. Yeah, the comedy is probably going to offend you if you do not like that type of. But he does an amazing job.
He's funny.
He does an amazing. He's hilarious.
You know what's really sad, Nino, about me? is that he's gonna say it, everybody's gonna laugh, but it'll take me 5 seconds later, delay. Oh!
You need a buffer?
Yeah, don't put it on me when everybody's laughing. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, but learn more about them. You can go to mondaysdark.com, visit them on social media. I love just being a part of that process. And if I can put a shameless plug, if you're in Las Vegas and you want to be a part of it, we are actively looking for donations for the silent auction, restaurant show tickets,
Oh, okay.
stuff that brings value to the show so that they can raise more money, because it's Mondays Darks, the nonprofit's major fundraiser, but then they split part of the proceeds with all of the 22 charities. So they get a little bit more at the end of the year. What that equated to for the Burn Foundation in 2019 was we got $10,000 during our variety show, but then on the gala we got another $2,000. So that was powerful. That was a quarter of what our charity brought in that year. So it's super valuable, and it brings value, continuous value throughout the year.
So I have another question. Who's covering that? Anybody live social shows are going to cover that? Is there going to be like a red carpet event?
I'm not sure, but I'll check on that. I hadn't been on that. Our role is to make sure we help with donations, and then Tina and I will be there with some donors to make sure we promote that.
Because that would be cool to have a live session, and then they could have the link if they can't attend. At least they can give that way.
Yes. Yeah. I'll find that out for you.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, there's so much going on. There's so much networking, collaborating, and each person I think brings a piece to complete that puzzle.
100%.
Yeah, it's really cool. And you know, just the various areas that I'm now getting connected to, and then pulling people together. I love that part. It's, I can feel it. I'm like all giddy and excited because this morning it's cold, it's raining. I'm like, oh, freezing. Driving like a grandma. I have my flashers when people get too close to me. I'm like, go around. It's not going to go any faster. This is me. But
that's you?
Yeah, that is me. I'm already living on the edge of danger by being in this acting industry right now. You know, that is it. That's as far as I go. And then it's like a timeout, and then I watch people from a distance, and then I used to just jump right in. Now I'm kind of, you know, in the 40s, cautious now, a little bit more cautious. Do I feel like I'm cautious?
Yes.
Okay, good.
You're catching it.
That's the pendulum swinging too. I mean, as you become more aware of life, you have to start adjusting your boundaries to figure out what you can tolerate, and if you can't, defend yourself, and then figure out where your new level of life is, and that should be always moving forward, right? Our job is to create experiences and moments.
Absolutely.
It's not up to us whether they're bad or good. It's what we're going to do with it to grow, and then once you grow, how do you contribute that, right? And when you contribute that, that's where you start passing that on to other people.
You just got so many layers.
Of course,
you just got so many layers. I mean, you are like just pulling all this back, and yeah, you got a lot.
That's
of
coaching and mentoring too. Like, for every leader should be led. I got led by the crews I worked with because they always had a different perspective. I got led by bosses in the fire department who I didn't necessarily agree with, but they could bring you insights and perspectives that could broaden, even if it was just broadening your argument. And then there's other people that purposely were in a place where you want to be, that you need to learn the good, the bad, and the ugly. And once you learn that, now it's not knowledge is power, but it's engagement and action that flips the switch, right? And so you have to put yourself in that position to learn. Not all of it's going to be good.
I tried to talk to you before I went to acting.
Yeah, not all of it's going to be good.
Yeah, I know, and that's not just with acting, though.
100%. Because think of it this way. This is where our model is with our now. We took all the education experience from the fire service, and now we are social entrepreneurs as a family. And if we don't take the perspective of, and you understand this in your period of life, the chapter in your life where you're a police officer, there's certain things we see that normal America is not or shouldn't see. And what you do with that is really important. And for me, I had to compartmentalize it because it's not normal to see dead people at that level, right?
You have to be careful with that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not normal to see death at that level, or people living in lives that they know they're not meant to live, but they're stuck. And so what do you do about it once you've seen it? And most of us are learning how to do outlets of recreation. So they'll go camping or hunting or go to the beach and go fishing. Does that make sense? Do the family
like
stuff.
a healthy outlet, a healthy
100%.
instead of being able to redirect it to something that is going to help you thrive instead of making those poor choices. A lot of people, we all get put in a hole. So do you dig yourself deeper
100%.
or do you get yourself out? You're always going to fall in a hole, but be healthy with the choices you're going to make. And we all go through, a lot of people are like, oh, it's always me. I always have these issues.
Right.
No, we all have issues. Sometimes
Right.
people just don't announce that they're having it and they're going through it. I have a lot of things going on. I have a lot of different smiles. So I have a pissed off smile. I'm so mad right now. Like, oh, I can't believe this is happening. But
Sure.
it's just adapting.
Sure. 100%. And that's all it is, because there's things I learned not to do based on making mistakes.
Yes.
Right? You make the mistake, and then if it's uncomfortable enough, you're like, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
Right? And then you don't do that part again. But there's other ones that it's like, there's the analogy of Les Brown says he walk down the street and he sees a dog laying on a thorn, right? And he goes, hey, the dog's moaning, why did he get off the thorn? He's like, well, it doesn't hurt bad enough. Well, how many of us are going through some uncomfortable stuff, but it doesn't hurt bad enough to make change? Well, you'll make it in your due time, but we have to reference the experiences we have to hopefully thwart that for other people. Go make different mistakes in different areas that are less painful, but you can't do it unless you share your experiences and your moments, the good and the bad of it, because it's usually more bad than good.
So absolutely. On that note, Jason, you're gonna.
Yes, on that note, we're going to take a 2-minute commercial break, and then we'll be back with our amazing guest here, Nino Galloway.
Thank you. Stay tuned.
Welcome to social media shows. Have you been watching social media shows recently? Of course you have. We have been live streaming for 4 years across social media platforms. We produce over 70 shows with over 1,000 episodes. In the process, we've helped over 100 creators realize their dreams and start their own show. We give platforms to promote your business. If you are an artist, if you have an event, if you are entrepreneurs, or if you have a story. If you haven't done it yet, go ahead and subscribe and follow us on major social media platforms. And if you have a great idea of a show, join us. Social media shows can help you produce and live stream your own show. Let us help you make your dream become a reality.
Hello, everyone. This is Joseph Skoda with Social Media Shows. Well, I thank all of you for your support through these last several years, and it's been a lot of fun. We've given people a voice they never had before. Now, Social Media Shows is always collaborating with our veterans to help them do things and help out the veterans who are struggling today. And we teamed up with GI Connections, connecting veterans with resources. So please consider helping and donating to this great cause, because we're always doing things for veterans. So GI Connections, Social Media Shows, and you is what makes the world a better place. Once again, Joseph Skoda, proud United States Air Force veteran.
Welcome back to Vegas Views. We're here with the amazing guest, Nino Galloway, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about his experiences as a firefighter and many more things. If you could tell us a little bit, I would like to ask you what got you into being a firefighter.
That's a good question. It's almost convoluted right now, because the short answer is I always wanted to be a firefighter, a fireman when I was a little kid. Back then we called firemen.
Right.
It was, you saw the fire trucks, the lights, I thought it was cool. I grew up in New York, and so the services in New York on Long Island was all volunteer. And so you just had to go down to your neighborhood fire station and say you wanted to volunteer. And so at 16, I wasn't old enough to actually run calls, but I was part of their junior or explorer program, which everywhere in Southern Nevada now, they have junior police officers and junior firefighters,
that's great.
now called explorers, right? And so that's how I began. And then when I turned 18, the fire department in my town said, hey, you can start running calls, but we'll also pay for you to go to school. And so that opened the door for me to get learn about the career part of this. I just thought it was cool. In New York, they're very fraternal. So like our old volunteer fire department had a full blown bar down in the basement, and they would hang out on the weekends and in the wintertime during storms, and we all just hung out. You played ping pong and pool and watched TV and watched games and fights, and then they would drink beer, and you would get tapped on the shoulder and go, "Hey, you're not driving." So if you're driving, you couldn't drink, right? Does that make sense? But
Absolutely.
we've come a long way since there. I wanted to work on becoming a New York City firefighter, but I missed the age minimum to test, and my parents had moved out here, and my mom's like, "Hey, they're hiring firefighters, come out here and test." Got out here, got connected to a mentor, and the rest got me set up for success as far as the work ethic it was going to take to do it, because there's certain things I wasn't strong at. He helped me at least cover those, but then double down on my strengths, and I was able to carry that all the way through my career. And still moving forward till the day I die, there's some principles he taught me in 1992 that I won't ever forget.
Right, and I'm a big believer in everyone should have a mentor. Can you elaborate on it?
100%, directly and indirectly. And nowadays in life, we need to be doing both. There's 4 principles I believe in when it comes to how you're working through your knowledge cycle, right? Awareness, be aware that there's more out there than what you currently know. Number 2 is get education that's formal and informal. 3 is take action, called engagement. Engage on what you've learned, otherwise it's not. I couldn't go into the acting world without coaching, and then when you learn it, you have to start practicing, and repetition helps you improve, right? And then the last part is the secret sauce. It's empowerment, right? Empowerment comes in 2 ways. Empowerment is you empowering yourself to get your butt out of bed to go do what you're supposed to do. And then number 2, help others. Doesn't have to be a million. Help one person improve their life, right? And so when you take that awareness knowledge cycle, and then you go, hey, let me go find people. I have mentors that I literally, on the way in here, I was listening to a podcast. I'm reading a book. I struggle with focusing on reading physically, so it's a practice, but I have to work harder at that. But if I get up in the morning and go walk, I can have an audio book or a podcast in all day long. Those are indirect ways of mentorship, right? And then directly, I sit down with a few people that I aspire to be somewhere along the path that where they are, and I can learn the good and the bad of what they do, so I can then form how my path or journey is going to go moving forward.
Excellent.
Isn't that great advice? I hope people are listening, because this is something that they could use every day and grow as a person, and then also pay it forward. And I know you pay it forward so many places.
You have to. Like Tony Robbins says, the secret to living is giving, and I've heard it for years. Pay it forward, contribute to the community. Everybody has that. The difference let me reframe that. The reason why that's important is because it forces you to let go of whatever's going on in your world to gain empathy and compassion for whatever that person or group is going through. It's easier. When we went through 1 October, the whole community stepped in because everybody felt that pain, right? 9/11, the tornadoes that happened back east, but nobody's really catching that each and every day we have people in our community living an awful life of disparity. And if we don't check out and check our own problems and start serving others, we'll never truly get fulfillment. And that has been valuable. I didn't make that up. I learned that. And then when you apply it, right, put action to it, you go, oh, yeah. And I think it's definitely been some therapy as you go through all the years. I worked for North Las Vegas, so I worked 25 of my years off of Cary on Las Vegas Boulevard. I spent a little bit of time at MLK and Cheyenne. I spent my time in the thick of it. No regrets, but you learn a few things. But if you don't pass that on and start helping others.
When you're saying thick of it, the people that have never been a first responder probably don't understand what that means. Can you explain and in the way you can. What does the thick of it mean when you are responding?
So when you get hired by a police department or fire department, there is some type of process that puts you in the fire service. You get to bid a fire station, and so the more time you have on, the more luxury you have to go to areas that are less likely to have violence, fires, or action. And in North Las Vegas, it's the difference between working at Station 51 on Cary Avenue or working on Elkhorn at Station 56. They both respond to they both respond to emergencies, but one, there's a higher likelihood that there's a stabbing, shooting,
Domestic.
person hit by a car, assault,
Suicide.
homelessness issues, suicide. And for me, I chose to stay most of my career down there, not necessarily because of being in the thick of it, but because I loved the culture of what we were called the black sheep, of having the kitchen table, the second family, not being judged. I mean, my wife would go into the fire station and go, your maturity level goes from age 50 down to 7 in a matter of 5 feet of walking in the fire station, right? And so I loved that, but that's part of the thick of it. The all side of that is we got up 3-4 times a night. Your sleep was there. My number one goal coming out of the fire service in retirement was to sleep. Get regular, consistent sleep, which for 29 years didn't happen.
So since now you retired, will you ever go back to when they have they call them cadets like they did, and do you go there to kind of give a heads up, let them meet you, let them get inspired by you? The ones that are now starting off in the fire department academy, I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
So if there's, we have a couple things. We have Explore Posts, which are young.
Okay.
We are doing an event this weekend for youth, and we've invited the Explorers to be a part of that because we always want to provide them inspiration, right? Because they're giving up a lot of their time. It's all volunteerism. As far as the rookie school, if they invite me to, I'd be more than happy to, because speaking is where I want to go moving forward. I'm leveraging my work experience and stories to develop an outline to do that and speak wherever I'm allowed to or offered to do. So, and then in addition to that, I think like the fire service, you have to do gems, and so you don't just stop showing up. I shared a video with some guys yesterday and said, here's a leadership nugget, save this, don't get rid of it, because you have to take your experience, and now that I'm gone, doesn't mean you're dead. You still have to leverage and give them nuggets. And I'm not a good trainer, if that makes sense. Like I couldn't sit in a class and say, hey, this is a box, and this is how you unfold the box, and this is how you, I'm horrible that way.
But you're good at insight.
But if you can give those insight, and I call them nuggets, right? If you can give those nuggets, short spurts, because that's what the fire service, just like the police officers are like. You get in that moment, right? That
The
GSD.
meat and potatoes.
The GSD, right? Once it's GST time, everything goes from, hey, let's evaluate things and plan for an hour, to now you have 60 seconds to figure out, what do you have, what are you going to do, and what do you need? And then for the officers, they have to articulate that to everybody else so that they know what to do, right?
We had the 3 C's: contain, control, communicate.
Right. Ours was a CAN report, right? So what are your conditions? What are your actions? What are your needs, right? And so you do those things with the precipice that it's going to help the scene neutralize, right? And then in the fire service, like police officers, same thing in the military, a lot of times we can't control what happens before, but our job is to master what we do when we arrive.
Right. Yeah.
And that takes work.
See, but I only went on a couple scenes. One was a trailer, it was burning. Of course, we're first before, and ashes on me. I was like, I don't know if I could take the heat. I was already having ashes on me. But I noticed that the fire department, the firemen and women, they were getting treated nicer. I was always getting like flipped off or spit at. I was like, what the heck? What's the difference? I was like, wait a minute. So did you always see love, or was there any time that you didn't see the love? Okay.
I'm a perfect example of a Jekyll and Hyde. If you work downtown, if you work in any inner city, not just downtown, your customer base, your clientele is different. So, you guys have kids?
Yeah.
Do you know you give love, but then there's other times where you're like,
Tough love.
nope,
Tough love.
Yeah.
not happening, right? This is no different. There's problems in the system of why people call 911, so sometimes you have to remind them. I used to tell people if you're under 8 or over 80, they were automatically getting love and compassion, right? Because I like kids, and part of the process of helping kids is that if you get to a young child and you go to pick them up, it's also part of our survey to see how sick they are. Because if you go to grab a kid and hold them and they don't want anything to do with you, that means they're cognizant enough to know that you're a stranger and they don't like you. But if that kid comes to you and allows you to hold them, then you go, all right, maybe this kid's sick. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes, because they're willing to accept comfort from a stranger, and most kids wouldn't if they were in the right state of mind and they were maybe in a good environment.
100%.
And yes.
100%. So you give that, like that's part of your process, but off of Cary Avenue, you're going to run with people that don't understand really what 911's for, or they're sleeping in the gutter because they're drunk or on drugs, right? Those are things you have to overcome and deal with, and sometimes you handle it appropriate, sometimes you're like, oh, I could have done a better job. Then there's other times when it's time to retire where you're like, I don't want to deal with it anymore, right? And you have to be real about that too. Sometimes in your life, you're gonna some things have a chapter end, and that's okay as long as you found something that guides or directs your purpose and passion to the next chapter. That's kind of where I was. I knew that there's other things I wanted to accomplish, but sitting at the kitchen table with the guys acting like idiots was stifling that. Does that make sense? Like
it was coming to an end, so the bad outweighed the good. So
it wasn't even bad. It was hindering from where I felt we were capable of doing and the challenges I need to accept. Right? Starting over, it's like going into acting career. You go, oh, it sounds like a good idea, and then all of a sudden you go, wow, welcome to 2 o'clock in the morning start, and people are gonna be mean to you, and people are gonna like this, and it's not what you signed up for. Well, that's no difference in the fire service. At 2 o'clock in the morning, most people are gonna be mean to you.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
So, but I have no regrets, right? That's how you learn in life, and the good news is it taught me a principle that as long as no one's dying, we can figure it out.
I'm going to keep that in mind when I feel like I'm going to die on a set.
Well, I think to add to that, there's also, like you were saying, your life lessons as you move forward at different stages of your life. You're a different version of yourself. And also after action reports.
Yeah.
So that you learn from your mistakes.
We call them, in the fire service, after a fire, we call them a hot wash. So you would hot wash what worked. Like, what did you do? What worked? What did you learn?
Yes.
And then what's your lesson for next time? And that's a mastery skill because you don't get to rinse and repeat in the fire service. If you made a mistake, you don't want to repeat that, right? Because the efficiency of the incident or someone's life could depend on it. And we're pretty spoiled in Vegas. We have very cookie cutter type structure fires, cookie cutter type extrication or skills that we use. But that doesn't mean it can't happen again, and there's certain habits you don't want to do. So that after action report or that hot wash starts with you, then with your crew, and the more experience you get, the easier it becomes to go, hey, that was me.
Own it.
That was me. And sometimes it happens right away, or sometimes it would happen the next.
In the outreach position, I had a challenge with the fire chief, not with him, but we were both mad about something happening, and then I had time to think about it. Came back the next day, I'm like, hey, boss, I think we have that problem. Part of that's my fault. What? When I explained it to him, living a life of choice comes down to choices you made and didn't make. And in this case, this example is what I didn't do. Does that make sense? To solidify and would have minimized the challenge. We can all evaluate that on a daily basis. And so in life, when it comes to outreach and community, your career, your family, evaluate the work in progress that it takes to create experiences, learn from your mistakes, and then always commit to not doing it again. Sometimes I win, sometimes I don't.
Is there anything that you want to give a social media out?
You can follow me. I drive through Instagram at Nino Galloway on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Nino.Galloway. I have TikTok. I'm not really on TikTok, but I love that's my rabbit hole is TikTok. I can go down there and be 3 hours go by. Thank you, COVID. Right? COVID taught me TikTok, and now it's where all the stupid stuff I find to share with my friends is. Outside of that, I would encourage you to follow the upcoming next month. We're doing the Fill the Fire Truck toy drive, which will be out. If you haven't seen, we put fire trucks in front of Walmarts. That's the Burn Foundation. You can follow us there at After the Fire's Out. And then Monday's Dark has their event coming up on 12/9, and that's at Monday's Dark. You can look at their link. We'll have tickets available. We want to fill the house out. It will sell out. So go there, grab tickets. And Mark Shidna puts on a crazy fun show. And as long as you're good with language, see you there. Dress up.
Thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, viewers. I'm signing off now. Nicole Vegas.
And I'm Jason Velez.
Welcome to social media shows. Have you been watching social media shows recently? Of course you have. We have been live streaming for 4 years across social media platforms. We produce over 70 shows with over 1,000 episodes. In the process, we've helped over 100 creators realize their dreams and start their own show. We give platforms to promote your business. If you are an artist, if you have an event, if you are entrepreneurs, or if you have a story. If you haven't done it yet, go ahead and subscribe and follow us on major social media platforms. And if you have a great idea of a show, join us. Social media shows can help you produce and live stream your own show. Let us help you make your dream become a reality.
Hello, everyone. This is Joseph Skoda with Social Media Shows. Well, I thank all of you for your support through these last several years, and it's been a lot of fun. We've given people a voice they never had before. Now, Social Media Shows is always collaborating with our veterans to help them do things and help out the veterans who are struggling today. And we teamed up with GI Connections, connecting veterans with resources. So please consider helping and donating to this great cause because we're always doing things for veterans. So GI Connections, Social Media Shows, and you is what makes the world a better place. Once again, Joseph Skoda, proud United States Air Force veteran.